Get right to it.
Right into it.
That is my lovely child on the front.
Very cute.
And she always smiles like that when she's in trouble. Happy, sad.
Takes after her mother.
Yeah. So our Anishinaabe Gikinua Matawin program will build trust, confidence, reduce the achievement gap, reduce special education referrals, be a liaison between home and school, advocate for our students and all students, increase cultural awareness, provide staff development opportunities, build partnerships, and work with our children on social emotional learning and their needs. Our mission, we are true to our mission every single day we come to work. Our program staff, oh my goodness, staff, Mr. Goodwin, our director, me, our program coordinator. Ella works at the high school and ALC. Our ALC enrollment right now is sitting at about 32 Native American kids. Erica Bobrowski, she's our middle school advocate. Samantha Gould, East Rapids. Rebecca Jones, West and Big Fork, and then Eloise Jackson is at Cohasset, and this is the first year we're going to be going into the Head Starts. Since the Head Start moved over to the hub, it gives us the opportunity now to service our Head Start kids that we
Jessica,
have.
are these all full-time positions?
They are all full-time positions.
Thank
Bruce is 20% Indian. Our funding sources are from state and federal Indian education funding. This is the first year since I've been here for 6 years that we have had an increase and not a decrease in funding from these two places. Our state and federal funding pay for our staff in benefits. I get paid 35% out of special education funds under their homeschool liaison Indian education portion of their funding. And our middle school advocate gets full salary and benefits out of Achievement and Integration Grant. And then JOM is complete reimbursement to our families who have enrolled children or children eligible for enrollment in reservations.
So what does GOM stand for?
Johnson O'Malley. It is the person that came about to get funding for enrolled students, whether they go to public or a tribal school, so that those students can participate in sports and not have that income barrier over them. So our JOM, each JOM in each school district gets to decide how they spend their funding and how they allocate those fundings. So Grand Rapids, we have each family for each eligible student is able to submit receipts for up to $250 per child. And when we have extra, because not all families tap into this resource, we have extra at the end of the year. We spit it out in classroom supplies for our students. Picture vouchers. We keep gift certificates for picture time and different things, whatever we have left. It's not rollover funds, so we can't roll it over, so we have to spend it each fiscal year.
Jessica, I feel like I've heard of or experienced like JOM committees working like 18 different ways, and some years or sometimes it's like it's a separate committee us outside of the school that determines everything. Sometimes it's an LIC that kind of acts as the JOM committee. Sometimes it's a parent committee that, like, how is it working right now here?
So how it works for our programming is we have a parent committee of 15 parents. And our parent committee, we do our state, federal, and in order to be on the JOM parent committee, you have to have an enrolled child or a child who's eligible for enrollment or a grandparent taking care of that child. So then we do our state, federal, and our JOM meetings on the same exact night. So
Okay.
then our parents just drop off
Sure,
for whoever's
okay.
not JOM.
Huh. Smart.
So it's completely our parent committee based, but
Okay.
with me reporting like where we see the needs at from our needs assessments that we do.
Jessica, while you're here, you indicated that this is the first time that you've experienced a funding increase.
Mhm.
To what is that? What would you attribute that to? You
Um,
can pat yourself in the back, that's fine.
when we are looking at different, hopefully we see an increase in the next couple of years. One of the things that we had with Grand Rapids was a lot of our students were not being identified as Native American when they truly were. And parents didn't know that they can come out and be like, hey, my kid is Native American, but I didn't want to fill this out because I just didn't know how. And so just giving them the awareness, the understanding, and statewide, everybody got an increase in our state funding this year. And I was just at the Fields hearing today in Cass Lake, and it was interesting to hear just the different Indian education programs, the principals, superintendents from all over, and what they're wanting from state MDE to come forth with for Indian education programs, and how do we do Indian education for all on a budget that we have like this.
Thank you.
So our program eligibility is looking at enrolled students and descendants. So a descendant, it could be a grandparent, of course, an aunt or uncle, somewhere down the line where these children come in. We have a lot of conversations with families being like, this one kid came in and was like, my grandpa speaks Ojibwe all the time. And like, we're like, wait, what? Like, where have you been? So, I mean, it's just through conversations and having those relationships with people within the schools that we find other students and families. And just because if a student is not enrolled or eligible for enrollment, that does not mean we close the doors on that student. Our door is open to everybody at any time they need, and you walk into our classrooms and it's a mix.
My son appreciates that.
Yep.
I love your son.
I just seen him in there the other day.
I remember some of this from
Our family engagement. So the Native American culture is very family-based. When we restructured the entire program, we wanted to bring in, how can we bring our family to be part of this and to make our kids successful in school? We have family nights. These were some of the biggest family nights of natives, non-natives that come into our schools, over 150 people a night. Our parent committee sits of 15 parents right now, and that's the most that we have seen, and very active parents. We do a student family needs survey. So this gets sent out to our families and our students because I want to hear from our kiddos what's working and what's not working. We do our school supply giveaway at the beginning of the year because we know at times that's hard and there's other resources within the communities, but we want to make that relationship with our families that they feel comfortable coming to us. Homeschool liaison, you will see Erica, me, grandma, everybody out picking up kids for school some days. Sometimes a family might need a little bit gas. Sometimes a family needs somebody to keep their kiddo after school for a little tiny bit because of a family matter. That's what we're there for. And then we have full service Ojibwe education services within 7 people in this school. If that child needs a winter jacket, if that child needs food, if that child, whatever that family needs, they reach out to me. We collaborate together with other entities within the school and outside of the school and get that family taken care of. Program partnerships, Deer River School District. Other Ojibwe education programs, the Blendon Foundation, Grand Rapids Children's Museum, and the Greenway School District. So over the years, we have repaired relationships with other Ojibwe education programs that did not exist or were hard to mend prior. We repaired all of those relationships and all work collaboratively to get things done. We call each other, we text each other, we have questions, we utilize each other's services that we need. The program partnership, why Grand Rapids Children's Museum is on here, we were deciding ways of how is Ojibwe education in our district going to collaborate with different entities within our community. That's positive for our students, staff, families, and administration. We did not want to collaborate with entities within the community that were only going to benefit off of us coming in for them and not benefiting us as a whole. So we are on this venture with the Children's Museum right now to make a collaboration with them of having an Ojibwe education, an Ojibwe exhibit there, full hands-on housing, to everything. We are going to take our 5th and 6th grade social study classes and align with the Children's Museum, our Indian education portion of it. And so they'll come over to the Children's Museum and they'll have the lessons there of that time. What these Native American tribes ate, where these Native American tribes lived, all hands-on experiences for these guys. We want it a very hands-on, a very memorable learning for them that they could take back. And with collaborating with a place like the Children's Museum, they have the room for it and we have the people for it. And so you will see with this collaboration, we'll hold one of our family fun nights there. It will actually be a fish fry once a year, open to the whole community, to have that community piece and that whole community involved with our school, with other entities within the community, showing that we do work together and we can work together. And it's a beautiful thing when we do. It's just bringing out more awareness. The curriculum that our staff created is based off the 7 grandfather teachings, which follows our Thunderhawk values. And that programming will start at the Children's Museum in December. So they're going to fully use our curriculum over there. Our academic achievement, even though we're still behind with our Native American students, we're still flowing that beautiful, nice parallel line. Our gap is not increasing. We went up both in reading and math this year. Our 4-year graduation rate for the school as a full, Mr. Goodwin put this on there, but for our Native American students, we are high in the 90s for our Native American students graduated from Grand Rapids. And keeping those close collaborations with like ALC is very important. Our elementary support, we have East, West, Cohasset, and Big Fork. So we provide academic interventions. We review data and work with teachers to help close that achievement gap. So we work one-on-one with students in the classroom and out of the classroom. We attend all DART meetings. Sometimes it's our staff bringing forward our students for those DART meetings. We do small group instruction. We do large group instructions. In the different schools, you will see the way Indian education is set up. And the teachers that utilize it quite a bit, you'll see our advocates in their rooms providing full class lessons often. Our lunch groups are crazy. And they're at all schools. And it's just a time for the kids to come in and just touch base and have that check and connect with us. We work with the special education department to do cultural observations. So any of our students that play as Native American, we get a ding in our EduClimber to do a cultural observation to be sure that there's no cultural barriers or anything for the student instead of needing special education.
Is that part of Project Dreamcatcher, Jessica? That cultural observation?
Yeah, so that's where it came from. And we met with, no, not where it is. And so we knew we couldn't implement full Project Dreamcatcher. It's a full over special education for Native American students. So when we had met with them and when special ed came to the training, we had decided what portions we could pull in right now and what portions we can use. And that was a very valuable one. Right there.
How many did they?
Cohasset. Yep, right there.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Thank you. So in Cohasset, it's more than 28 students we have there right now. How do we support Cohasset? We have cultural advocate, AKA Grandma, is there now 3 days a week permanently. We have her based over there. The needs of some of our students that moved from different schools over to Cohasset this year, we knew we had to have somebody there more. Grandma spends a lot of time with pre-intervention referrals. And she also takes care of our big overlook of West Elementary has 45 students. That is down a few. Over there, Indian education looks somewhat different. They do solely cultural groups. So we focus really on cultural groups over there. And those kiddos are pulled from their classes. They know their animals, numbers, 7 grandfather teachings they work on, and they do a lot of amazing like artwork and hands-on activities there for their small groups, because that student advocate gets to focus more on this stuff. Our middle school, we have a consistent employee there now that things are making waves there. Sometimes change is hard, and when we come in with all these changes and all of these services that nobody knows about, it's a beautiful thing when that change starts to work. Our middle school is focused on a lot of academics. We really want our students to stay up and to close that achievement gap. So we do a lot of Miss Erica over there does a lot of tutoring. Thursdays is cultural days. So they really dive in deep and do cultural activities on Thursdays. But some fun things we do with the middle schoolers is they're the ones who come out and help us teach those big overall lessons of sugar bushing, wild racing. We have some avid traditional lacrosse players there. They just went to UWS last week and played that evening with Erica, took them over there, and some other games, traditional games that they did. We like to middle school. Some of the collaborations we're going to do for middle school this year is we're still trying to figure out what kind of structure we should use in our middle school with our middle school students, what kind of activities we should produce out of there with them, and what they feel comfortable with. In March, we're teaming up with McCrosty because our middle school students will be doing the monthly art exhibition there. So you'll see our students' art for sale in McCrosty. So what we've been doing over at the middle school was we did abstract bears just to see what they want to do and what they want to present. I don't want to tackle sewing yet.
Can I say something? And so last year, I kind of didn't know where their dexterity and what some kids were, what they were capable of and stuff. So I just jumped right into beading. Some kids took off with that and did phenomenal. Other kids, I spent a lot of time untangling beading string. So this year, when I sat with Bruce and Jess, I told them that we're going to take that back a lot bit more, and actually go with like bigger beads to see who is interested in that. But then we're also going to be doing like the traditional games. I learned a lot this summer. I have a neat little project coming up, hopefully this week, for we're going to make paper moccasins, and they're the ones that really are interested in making real moccasins after that. So I'm just trying to still get a feel of where exactly their artwork, where they're interested at, and take that and run with it. So then we just did the abstract bear. They absolutely love that. I had kids spit out quite a few of those, and then they went on to a turtle and then beaver. And so they're really taking to that.
Our high school and area learning center. That is mainly focused on academic tutoring. When we did the cultural elective into the high school, that was open for 11th and 12th graders. So we really wanted to back up in the high school class of what they were bringing out during class time for beadwork and for snowshoes and things like that, so that we can keep more options for our culturally elective students. They have cultural lessons on Thursdays there, and a lot of their cultural lessons are on the history of the Native Americans in this area. So they focus a lot on that. In the high school, that was where me and Ella had started when we started restructuring the Indian education program for the district. And so our high school is set up very nice. Our high school advocate works closely with the administration there. So most of our Native American students, or students that we work closely with, get called down to the office or anything, we're informed and they ask like, hey, can you do the follow-up? Can you ask this kiddo this? So we're very engaged up at the high school and involved with every aspect of the student's life up there. And at the high school, we're sitting right under 100 students. Big Fork, we visit Big Fork once a week for culture groups with students. And this has changed over time because the needs of what Big Fork needs. We don't have a full-time advocate over there, and our funding cannot sustain a full-time advocate over there. So I meet with the principal and we go over like, what do we want to see happen? And like, they're just like, please come, like do your thing. So with our advocates going over there last year, we had a lot of teachers requesting that we do full classrooms. This was the first year that Big Fork actually filled up their day for our cultural learning out for wild racing this year. So that little tiny bit of change that we made is doing good up there, and we hope to make a lot more change up there with time. Our cultural education, we have the cultural advocate, and that's Grandma, but we really have her over at Cohasset because we have that high need at Cohasset right now. She, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, floats to the other sites. When we do our cultural presentations out at the learning site, we have over 1,500 of Grand Rapids students come out during those 5 days. If we could have it longer, like this is some hard work being out there that long, that many hours. If we could have it longer, I guarantee we'd have more than half of the school up there. And most of the time when everybody likes a heads up, they're like, before you send out your schedule, please like let us know so we're on top of it, because some of the schools fill up within minutes of posting are open. Some of the celebrations we see in the drum at graduation, we have our high school elective credit. We have our learning lessons and activities at our learning area. We do things for Indigenous Peoples Day. We have a drum group. We have a dance group. We do the academic support through partnerships with teachers and the DART process, family engagement, and then participation with cultural teachers and artists from around the areas. We have a list on hand of who we utilize for making our traditional acrostics, to who is good with clay, to all of this. What we are working on. Our outdoor learning site foundation has been set. The cement has been laid. The trees were cleared this summer. Our pavilion is sitting there in the wrapping and should be put up here in the next week. We already held our wild rice camp out there and the kids were just amazed, it's just a big plot of land. They were like running out there, loving it already, just being empty.
This is the middle school site, right?
Yep. And thank you guys for the collaboration with that, because this is just going to be a beautiful thing when we get more done to it. We have a middle school, high school doesn't participate so much, but we have a middle school traditional lacrosse team that goes to Deer River once to twice a week, and then goes with Erica to other colleges to play. We like to keep competition, positive, good traditional competition up. So we do snow snakes with our elementaries. We do field trips. We really, like I said, believe in the whole family. So we're restructuring our drum and dance to be the whole family. So drum and dance will be a family setup. So family will attend one night a month, and then we'll do 3 nights a month on Zoom. And these families will get to come to, we collaborate with Deer River and we go to St. Cloud powwow. They'll come stay the night with their kiddos and we will attend powwows together. Let's see here, what else? The high school advocate, like I said, we have an influx of students, of Native American students in ALC. And so it's really important that we're providing those services over to the ALC. And most of our Native American students will go on a Wednesday, just because that's the day that we can provide somebody out there. And they look forward to that. And Creating positive community relationships has been beautiful. This is our area. That's our, it looks little on this picture, but it's really not that tiny.
What's the targeted date to have that complete?
So our first stages, like this is really what we're gonna see on our first stages. And then I have to go search for some more money. We're applying for a couple grants to like continue on. So what we're really looking to do is we'll have 4 season areas in it. So the pavilion will be our middle, and then we'll have the 4 season areas of what the Ojibwe, and we're focusing on the Ojibwe because we are by the Ojibwe lands, the Ojibwe people, and that's, we need one focus area for now. So the fall will have the homes that the Ojibwe lived in during the fall time, and we'll do like our wild rice scene will be all fall time. And then when winter comes, we shut down that fall section and we go to our winter section. It'll show the houses that the Ojibwe lived in. And all of this will be hands-on for the kids to experience, to be there, everything. And we'll hold lessons all through the years, like seasons, I mean. And then we'll have our spring section and then our summer section. So our spring and summer will actually work with community education and summer school to maintain gardens and to maintain different kind of learning out there for our kids all year round. So it really is just getting our buildings up and going from there. But this collaboration with the Children's Museum will actually open up more doors for our cultural learning site too. So one of the things that we did this year, usually we're with the city planning Indigenous Peoples Day, but this year we did not plan Indigenous Peoples Day with the cities. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to incorporate our students and our own staff involved within our own schools. So what we did was we took Indigenous Peoples Day banners, and the kiddos, we wanted to really know from our students what being Indigenous meant to them. So we actually interviewed our students, and these were played on morning announcements for everybody to see and everybody to hear. So we decided to take that approach more to reach more of our students than collaborating with an outside entity to only service some of our kiddos. So all of our students have seen that, and our students that we interviewed and chatted with were like excited and proud to do that. And so to see that growth within years within the school has been amazing and beautiful. We're seeing the restructure process working. And we're seeing our kids moving from elementary to the middle school to the high school, and they know what Ojibwe education is. We are families in town that are accepting and they're aware. So it's just building those relationships within our communities, within our families, and having you guys here to help support us along the way. So thank you. Any questions for me?
I don't have a question, but you guys came and spoke at the chamber lunch
Oh,
that day. You did a great job.
thanks.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Jessica, this is really impressive. I'm very impressed with the work that has been done, especially in recent years, and the growth that has happened and has developed. Is there a possibility or potential to partner with the Rife Center? They have access to Native American performers from throughout the region, throughout the country. Is that a possibility?
That is, and that's actually a possibility that we have talked about. Because sometimes we were gonna book people on the same time, and we're like, wait a second here, like, I can get people to your guys' performances, and like, I have like on call, like Kisa Cola called me, and it's like, Jess, I'm in town for the month of November, like,
Yep.
give me a call, and Annie and them. So like, those connections, yes, would be beautiful.
Okay.
And that's something that, yeah,
I think Mindy
Great.
sits on that,
Rife board.
on that board, so she might be a good contact for you.
Yep. Mention it.
perfect.
Anybody else?
I think, one of the things that you have been working on when the reset happened was to grow this from, and it's just cool to see that happen now. Like, it's grown up through the elementaries, it's grown up through, so it's, you did the plan, you're working the plan, and it's just fun to see. really good stuff.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Great job. Great.
Thank you. We have an amazing team,
Mhm.
Great.
and thanks for always being there.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Next,
Go ahead.
next item on the agenda. Review school district owned property. Beth?
So this came, the question from a previous board meeting. So with Kara and Casey's help, so we gathered all the information on the properties the district owns. You know, as we've communicated previously, most of the property we own has schools on it or adjacent to it. And so you can see one of the things that's complicating for people, if they try to just pull up a list of school district parcels, you know, you can see Bigford. There's whatever that is, a dozen parcels that are Bigford school. So the school forest there, Cohasset obviously has a unique arrangement because there's the city component there. East Rapids has a few parcels there that had to do with acquiring some land when the building was built. So some of those still show up as independent parcels. West is different. West is, because that came from the city, was just identified as one giant parcel, so that's why there's only one there. High school, again, that's interesting. There's over 40 acres there, but really just across two large parcels. And this document electronically, if you click on those blue hyperlinks, that'll open up the Itasca County parcel map to show you where it is. I didn't do it for all of them, you know, the East Rapids one, my updated one has all of them linked, but you can kind of get a sense of where some of these are and which ones they are. Middle school is another one that's real complicated with lots of parcels, and some of you maybe remember that process of converting all those properties into one giant one. The USGS one, you know, is the one that moved and was where the ice rink is going now. City's almost done with that. And then some along Ridgewood Road there on the north end. You can see southwest, that entire parcel is made up of that one number, a little over 9 acres. School forest on the page 4 on the top there is made up of 3 different parcels, each one around 60 some acres, 65 or so. I mentioned before in talking to Sean Linder, he's, you know, talked about how much his classes use that. And then, you know, some of our elementaries have used that in the past too for snowshoeing and tree kind of education. The transportation and maintenance facility, you can see that one. Finally, then on the bottom, page 4, those are the 4 or 5 properties that don't have schools on them. The Carpenter one, you can see it's 1 acre, very isolated swamp land. That's way, you know, Carpenter's way north of east. It says Effie, only because that's the most organized community close to it. Carpenter is further east than Effie. It's up by near Togo. It's up in that area, yeah. So it's a ways away. Feely, that's north and west of Warba. There's 19 acres there. It's surrounded on this, pretty much all on the south by tax forfeited land. And then there's some private land to the north of it. That's a parcel we potentially could sell. I think there'd really only be one person that'd be interested in it, that'd be that private owner, because there's no access to this property other than through that private property. That S Lake property is tiny. It's right on 32, the road that goes to Black Duck. It's just a tiny little 0.3 of an acre piece. High Highway 2 east piece, the railroad and Highway 2 cut that into pieces. So it's really it's 31 acres, but it's kind of useless property.
I think we tried to sell it and we couldn't give it away.
Yeah,
Well, I was gonna say, I found somebody had asked about buying it, so I looked into it. And someone had tried to buy it quite a few years ago in the 80s. And it is not able to be sold. I believe it's in school trust land with the railroad through it. Ben, maybe you remember better than I do.
We looked at it and I didn't know if somebody tried to buy it in the 80s, but
my experience when you're dealing with the railroad is if the railroad gets involved, things get really complicated. It's kind of fascinating, actually. And then the Houlihan property, you can see there, that's listed out. That 1 acre parcel on the bottom actually is worth about as much as those other 3 individual ones, because it's got access to 169 there. It's a long skinny parcel that kind of runs along the rainbow out of that piece. So this is the list.
So 2 things come to mind. Obviously, this was a bone of contention for some people through this referendum. And I don't know if there's a way we can explain what we have here and why we have it for the ones that are tied to school buildings. The second piece is these parcels that we have from Carpenter Township to Feely to Good Hope to Highway 2, with the exception of Houlihan. My belief is that we should hang on to the Houlihan property, whether the community thinks we should sell it or not. That hanging on to it just gives us an opportunity to collaborate, consolidate, whatever words you want to use there, and be looking to the future. But the rest of this is, let's get rid of it. There's a way we can get rid of it. If we got a buck for it, it's sold, it's on the tax record. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It takes that argument away.
But is there a market for it?
I don't know if it is or not, David. It's like the admin building here. Is there a market for it? Anything sellable for the right person coming along willing to pay, right?
And our obligation, we could put these up for auction and somebody could literally buy them for $1. And if that's what we do, that's what we do, right? I mean, we could put them up for auction and we'd be within our rights to sell them for whatever the highest bid was. We could do that.
So how did we end up with these 4? I know the 5th one, but
Probably came
I
up
mean,
with
an acre in Carpenter Township. I mean, how did we?
I'm guessing there was probably a school there at some point in
That'd
time.
be my guess.
Way back when?
There was a school there.
Same thing up in Good Hope.
Interesting.
32 is actually Dunbar Lake Road off of 46 going west.
The one in Squaw Lake is part of the school, but it got missed in the sale.
Transfer, yeah.
Well, I don't know what the process to use or to be, but I would advocate, let's dump these 4 properties and take it out of the talking point with the community.
Okay.
The other positive thing of it
These
is,
these 4 at the bottom.
with the exception of the Houlihan,
Yeah.
is that it does put it back on the tax roll.
Right.
What that equates out to us, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But it takes it out of that equation of people, dump this property. Well, I know we did try to sell some of this. When Pat Goggins first got here, we asked the question back then, and I don't think we sold anything back then. But I don't think we used an auction service. I think we just published something in the newspaper. If you're interested in contact with us.
We sold one piece. I sold, was out near, it was west of here. And we spent more on the attorneys than
Yeah.
we got for the property, but it was, had an open well
Oof.
and,
Well, Karen and I can look into it and see, make some recommendations about what the best approach might be.
The other, Matt, is again, if there's a venue or some way we can talk about these other parcels on why we have them and why we need to keep them. you know, for example, Big Fork School, it's all tied back to the school property, right? Even though it looks like a lot of property there and all these, it's still part of the Big Fork School. Same thing with Cohasset, same thing with the middle school.
Yeah.
Do those parcels ever get consolidated? Like would all the Big Fork ones ever get consolidated into one
Right.
property piece?
I don't know what it would take for that to happen.
If it's an expensive proposition
Okay. To consolidate?
to consolidate.
I suppose you have to give them surveyed and
Legal description.
legal description. And,
So, Matt, at first blush, does putting this property up for an auction, does that make sense to you?
I think to Pat's point, we won't make any money on this.
But it will get it will
but-
get us off
It'll,
into the,
yeah, they'll be out of our ownership. If somebody buys them for $1, there's gonna be some property tax on them. There's none now. So it could be minimal, but at least there's an effort that we've made. We will never use these, we'll never use the top 4 on that
Right.
bottom list. We have 0 use for them. So I think it does make sense to get rid of them however we can. And then if we can't, again, we can at least say, we tried again, nobody wanted them. And I think especially if we try an auction, boy, I don't know how you could make it more accessible to people than that, right? Because then literally somebody could throw $1 in there and buy it for $1. And, you know, as long as we, I think, made it clear that the purchaser had to pay for the closing.
Transfer
and
and closing,
transfer and all that stuff, and they have costs wrapped up in that. I think it makes sense to dump these.
I mean, you got 2 parcels there, 19 acres
Yeah.
plus in Warba. Again, I don't know what the property looks like. I'm just thinking hunting land in itself. Even the 31 on Highway 2, if I recall, I think some of that is low land in there by the railroad grade, I think, but still
Yeah.
31 acres is 31 acres.
I don't think we can sell it though,
Well, let me
to look into it.
show
Is it
you.
school forest?
Railroad.
Because
school
it's
trust.
for school trust land. So I don't know why it's still in our name, but there was a lot of documentation about that piece of land because somebody did want to buy it.
Let me see if I can,
so these are not school trust lands. These are
No, well-
ISD
The
318
one.
lands.
The one is,
The Highway 2
The
east.
Highway 2 is school trust land, according to the documentation I have.
It just isn't labeled
Right.
as such.
Julie, can you switch the source to HDMI 1 on that screen?
I wonder if that piece of property that's trust, if it was part of a trade when they were doing, when they were doing some of the leases on the range, they were trading properties.
Yeah.
School trust forest properties.
So the question I would have, if it's in school trust land, one, why is it in our name? Why would it be an overall school trust land estate?
Right.
And 2, if that can't happen, can we take it off the school trust land so we can sell it? Designation, I should say.
See if he lets me do this. Oh, all right, so I'll show you, I'm not gonna bother showing you Carpenter, let me show you this Feely one. All right, so this is the 19 acres. Let's see, you can see my cursor here, this is all tax forfeit on the south.
What's road is that?
This is 10, so this comes out, 10 comes out of Warba, just
Oh,
west of
okay.
Warba, yep, and snakes back around Coleraine. So the only access to this piece is through the north piece, this is owned by the same person, this is owned by the same person. This is owned, this person this is Feely Road up here. It's the only way to get into this parcel. Otherwise, this is all tax forfeit all the way around it. So really,
But it is riverfront.
he's that's right, that's right. He's the only person that would have any reason to buy it, really. And it would only be to, make this a full on 40. Cause he owns this northern 20 here.
So Pat, your recommendation is coming from the standpoint of, rather than putting up with false arguments, let's just get it off our,
It's no benefit to us at this stage of the game. It's just
we don't have any
vacant land.
plans for it, it doesn't have
Yeah,
any
just clean it up.
long-term benefit.
So that's the Feely one. This is the one that the kind of owners or the ability, the railroad one. So this is it right here.
Yeah.
Railroad cuts it from
Wow.
northwest to here. Highway 2 cuts it here. So it's really got this tiny little triangle sliver
I don't think
chunk.
you have a building lot.
This
do you?
chunk, no. You couldn't from right of way standpoint and really do anything. And the chunk south of this triangle is Minnesota land, state of Minnesota land.
Oh,
And so that could be a reason that somebody would want this, just so they could have this triangle to get in and access the state of Minnesota property. But it's right on Highway 2.
What's that triangle there, Matt? Is it an acre?
This
A
here,
couple acres?
I don't know what this little triangle is. I mean, the whole thing is 31, so it's a handful.
I'm guessing there's probably gas lines going through there too.
Yeah, probably. So it's a really chopped up, wonky piece of property for sure. But you can see this is where, so it's a wonky piece of property. And then,
The one in Estlake is right off a road.
yeah,
Pull that one up.
are you all impressed by my hyperlink here?
I am.
I'm such a nerd like that. All right, so this is at 3/10 of a property. This is County Road 32. So the school would have been back down here a bit.
Oh, so it's just a little orphan that never got,
It's just a tiny little piece. Yeah, I mean, look at in this big giant chunk of 40 here, it's this tiny little northeast chunk. So, yeah, I think Ben's probably right. This whole thing was probably supposed to go and it didn't go. So, and let's see, that is privately owned. So it's,
so
I
Pat,
think
your thought
that
is
you get the estimated
deal
market
with
value of this thing is
just
less than
those four
$1,000.
pieces of property, you wouldn't deal with other properties?
No,
No, the rest of the properties, if I understand it right, are all tied to a building.
Right.
Okay.
From transportation to west to middle school, southwest, yeah. And I don't think we want to get rid of the school forest land up in Big Fork. I certainly don't want to keep that either.
No, that wouldn't make any sense.
but we'll do some checking on maybe what the best way to dispose of these would be. And then we'll figure out if there's something wonky about that Highway 2 property, if there's a way for us to get rid of that too.
Matt, is there a way to do a condensed presentation at one of our school board meetings where you can pull these maps up for these other properties here to show that?
Yeah.
Two things. One, it's there if people want to watch the school board meeting. Two, maybe the newspaper will do a little article
Yeah.
on those properties. We can raise the awareness of this, got to be a topic of discussion during a referendum.
Yeah.
We want to explain our position on why we have these properties.
Well, what's the, and I'm in agreement with you, but what is the explanation for the Houlihan property?
To me, I think it's planning for the future.
I'm absolutely there, but it's,
Whether we use collaboration, whether we use consolidation, again, that property's in 316, it's in 318, it has road access, the power's there, the water's there, the sewer's there. And let's just go back to looking for property when we did the elementaries, how difficult that was.
but the chattering class has the idea that that's worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that as a school, we should be balancing our budget with that.
Yeah, when I've been asked that question, my response has been along with that point that Pat just made, and we have some really good examples recently. Our own experience as a district trying to find property here in the community, tough. The county looked all over trying to find property and then ended up using its own property and acquiring some property. So they had a hard time finding property. And the city was scrambling to find property to keep L&M's distribution center here.
Right.
Finding property in this community is tough. And so it's a really important asset for us to have for the future. The second piece is like COVID money, money gained from the sale of a property is one-time money. And so that doesn't fix our structural problem. And the total of that Houlihan property, if you use the county market value, which,
We paid 600,000.
Right. And the market value is less than that now. So the impact of that on our budget is really,
It's not gonna solve any
not gonna
problems.
solve any of our problems.
Even if it goes
And-
back on a tax roll, it's not gonna.
Right.
I mean, it'll benefit, but it's not gonna benefit.
No.
Right. I mean, in order for that to help our budget, we'd have to be able to sell a property like that every year.
Right.
Because it's the only way that money would show up every year. So those are the two answers that I've
And
given.
it's going into La Prairie. It's city of La Prairie
Mhm.
property.
And I agree. I don't.
Yep. So we'll work on those, and maybe when we have some some ideas about selling it, however we want to present that, we can incorporate more of a presentation on it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Any other questions, conversation? Any other business to come before the board? Workshop's adjourned.
Thank you.